very first time a newly hired airline pilot touches the controls of the actual jet they were hired to fly, there are often more than 200 passengers sitting right behind them. That is not a mistake, and it is not reckless. It is the deliberate final step of one of the longest and most expensive training pipelines in any career on Earth. Almost nobody begins in a jet. A future airline pilot starts in a small single-engine trainer, a propeller plane barely bigger than a car with wings. Here they learn the raw basics by hand. How to take off, how to turn without losing altitude, and how to land smoothly instead of slamming onto the runway. They also sit through long hours of ground school, studying weather, engines, navigation, and the dense rulebook of the sky. After passing a written exam and a flight test with an examiner, they earn their private pilot license. It already costs around $15,000, but a private license comes with a catch. It only lets you fly small planes in good weather for fun. You cannot carry a single paying passenger. To fly for a living, the real climb has barely started. The next rung is the instrument rating. This teaches a pilot to fly straight into thick cloud, where the horizon vanishes and the windows turn solid white. With no view outside, they must control the aircraft using only the instruments on the panel. This is where many people wash out, because in cloud your own body deceives you. Your inner ear will swear you are turning when you are flying perfectly level, and you have to learn to ignore every instinct and trust the dials instead. After that comes the commercial license, which finally certifies that a pilot can be paid to fly. It demands sharper, tighter, more precise maneuvers flown to a much smaller margin of error. Stack these together and the bill can already climb past $50,000. And then comes the wall that nearly every American pilot slams into. By law, you cannot be hired by a passenger airline until you have logged 1,500 flight hours. The problem is that a freshly minted commercial pilot usually has only around 250. So where do the other 1,200 come from? Most new pilots become flight instructors themselves. They turn around and teach the very lessons they just learned, flying with brand new students day after day, slowly building their hours one lap of the traffic pattern at a time. It can take 2 or 3 years. And this rule has a dark origin. It was written after the crash of Colgan Air Flight 3407 in 2009, near Buffalo, New York, where pilot fatigue and inexperience contributed to the deaths of 50 people. The 1,500-hour rule is, in a very real sense, their legacy. Once a pilot finally reaches those hours, the training transforms. Now they earn the Airline Transport Pilot Certificate, the highest pilot license that exists. Then comes something called a type rating. Legal permission to fly one specific model of airliner, and only that model, such as a 737 or in a 320. Here is the surprising part. Almost none of this training happens in a real airplane. It happens inside a full flight simulator, a multi-million-dollar box perched on giant hydraulic legs. It pitches, rolls, and shudders exactly like the real jet, while a wraparound screen recreates any airport on the planet in any weather at any time of day. Inside, pilots are hit with engine fires, hydraulic failures, blown tires, and violent storms, again and again, until the correct response becomes automatic. These simulators are so faithful that aviation regulators treat time flown inside them as equal to time in the real aircraft. Which brings us back to that unsettling first flight. By the time a pilot climbs into the real cockpit for the first time, they have already flown that exact aircraft type through dozens of emergencies in the simulator. The switches, the sounds, the way it handles, all of it feels completely familiar. So the airline does something that sounds insane but is carefully calculated. It seats the new pilot in the right-hand seat beside a seasoned captain on an ordinary flight with real passengers on board. This is called line training, and a Czech captain watches every single move. Only after enough of these supervised flights is the pilot finally trusted to fly the line. And even reaching that seat is not the finish line. A new airline pilot starts as a first officer, the co-pilot in the right seat, and it can take many more years of flying before they gather enough seniority to move to the left seat and become a captain. Throughout their entire career, every pilot returns to the simulator every few months for recurrent training, where they are deliberately thrown into emergencies again and tested to prove they can still handle the worst day imaginable. In this profession, the training genuinely never stops. From the first shaky landing in a tiny trainer to the right seat of an airliner, the journey can swallow years of a person's life and anywhere from $50,000 to $200,000. So the next time a calm voice welcomes you aboard from the flight deck, remember the enormous, invisible climb it took for that voice to be sitting there. Subscribe for more of what really happens behind the scenes of aviation.